Hey guys, Scum 1, Scum All, and Scum As You Are. This is the Kawai K4 from 1989, so right at the tail end of the 80s, and this is a really awesome digital synthesizer. At the time, late 80s, 1987, Roland came out with the D-50, Korg followed up with the M1 the next year, Yamaha with the SY-77 the following year, 1989, same year as this, and Kawai was trying to catch up in that game, so this is a sort of continuation of what they were doing with the Kawai K1, where they were using a bunch of samples and single cycle wavetables to create really cool sounds, a 4-layer sound like a Roland D-50. The K4 adds a couple of interesting features. It adds resonant digital filters, which were absent from the K1, and it also adds effects, as you could hear the wonderful chorus and reverb. And this first patch, Ocean Watch, is just stunning to me. It is so cool and dynamic, and you can see that the keyboard is fully velocity and aftertouch sensitive. Plenty of range there on the velocity, and it's amazing that a keyboard like this could escape the 80s and still sound so good and play so smooth. And the aftertouch in this case is changing the octave of the sound. And we get that really rich, just gritty, nasty digital sound on the waves in this sound. It's so good. It's honestly one of my favorite vintage digital patches I've ever heard. So we're going to go tonight through all of the patches on this thing. We've got multis because you can actually layer up patches to get more than 4 layers of sound, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, it's just crazy. And I think Kawai is the most slept on vintage synthesizer company. The Kawai K3 I'm a huge fan of if you want to have that hybrid analog filter architecture, but the K1 and K4 are just incredible. So let's go ahead and check out some more of the sounds, just the basic stuff, and then we'll talk some more about the history and how it works. So this is Rock Grand. This is not the best. Little bit of, I don't know if it's distortion in there, but the way that those notes sort of, you know, like it's, reverb sounds good though. Plenty of room in there for dynamics. Kind of reminds me of the Proteus a bit. Arco string, this one's, oh, so good. What's interesting is it came out the same year as the original Proteus, and to my ears, they're actually closer in tone. But it's just got this wonderful lo-fi character to it. This one's called OBXA. I don't really think that Kawai ever really understood what the fucking Oberheim sounded like. I hate that. This one's called Freddy. That wasn't even a combination, Walter. That's just one patch. That's how crazy this synth can get. So really cool. Prime user, welcome to the stream. They had a K1 also on the floor, and I love the joystick, but the K4 resonant filters won me over. I guess the K1 does have a joystick. I have a K1 over there, and I totally missed out on the fact that this synth doesn't have a joystick. So that would be something that's missing from this synth. This one's called Folk Guitar. a usable guitar sound. I think the one I did for Neon Chronicles, my sound library for the D-50 is better. I'd be more likely to go that way. This one's called Voices, and this is where the Kawai K1 legacy really comes in. Wow, just sounds incredible. Walter says it sounds more polished than a Proteus. I actually don't think so. I've done a couple of streams on that. I do think the Proteus sort of sets the standard as far as, but it would be interesting to compare the two because they do have a very similar thing. Jason, welcome to the stream. How's it going? You didn't miss too much. We just started here with some of the patches. Let's see. Machine Storm says, if you play it with an Ovation remote, got a joystick there or a wave station. Yeah. So I honestly think this is a great just master controller. I can't believe how great the feel of this keybed is. And for those of you who don't know, I didn't get a chance to say this yet, but these things are dirt cheap. Today on Musician's Friend, I saw one of these for $300. They tend to hang around the $400 mark. But right now they're going for $100 or so less. I've seen a couple of them, one on Guitar Center, Musician's Friend, one on Reverb for like $370, something like that. This one's called Zimbabwe. Really huge. Get really Avatar up in here. I'm not exactly playing as amazingly as I could, although you guys know I'm not a great player. But I was really trying to just check out, okay, so what is the velocity like? And it is crazy and just fucking beautiful on this synth. So dynamic. But never, not like in that way where on certain synths like the Chroma Polaris where I'm like, it's too dynamic. Like when you're playing, you're just like losing notes. This, it's perfect. This one's called Old Suitcase. Oh, there it is. So, a little bit of reverb in there. Scott, I think that the formatting has to do with the fact that this is using like a lower res sample. So that's worth talking about. Kawai K1 has a very similar architecture to this and has one wave EPROM in there, or EPROM, whatever you say, a ROM chip. This one has 3, and although it's billed over here, it says Kawai 16-bit digital synthesizer. Truthfully, it actually uses a lot of 8-bit samples still, like the Kawai K1. And what it does is the samples like pianos that don't have a lot of inherent noise in them, those are 16-bit, but things like choirs and flutes that have an inherent noise to them, they use the lower bit rate, lower quality, which gives it just that fantastic vintage digital character. It's so lo-fi, but so beautiful. I agree, Prime User. You don't always see aftertouch on synths from this age. Although I think the M1, the D-50 certainly has it, and the SY-77 does. Does the SY-77 have like that multi-zonal aftertouch, so it's not quite polyphonic aftertouch? I don't know. That would be a question for Dubstation Zero. This sounds beautiful. It's amazing how dynamic it is. Just really great. So yeah, it is one of those things where in terms of features, they, I guess, lost the joystick. So you do lose that, but you do have a lot of control over other things. So this one's called Analog Synth, by the way. And it has a pretty surprisingly good resonance to it. Down on this lowest register, you can really hear that it's like a sample. It starts to fall apart and take on that digital character. But up higher, I don't know, just to me, it's very surprising how good it sounds. I think it sounds kind of like a slightly lower fidelity Yamaha EX5. But what's so crazy about that is the EX5 wouldn't come out for quite a long time, about a decade later. Andrew Collier, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Awesome that you've still got one. Love that gritty texture. Yes, Nick, it can do acid, which is crazy. Harmonic guitar. We're going into the 80s, guys. And nothing's more 80s than the early 90s. Some Korg 1 influence there. I feel like a bunch of these patches are sort of doing the universe thing where there's like a kind of like a rain sticky element going on in the background. How's it going? Hi, everybody. My cat Lemon. Oh, can you hear her? She's screaming because she smells that I've stocked the room with some treats. She just found them. Hi, Lemon. How are you? Can you say hi to the stream, Lemon? Oh, she's fully occupied by the treats, but yes, this is my blind cat Lemon. She is phenomenal. Can I get some scum lemons in the chat? There they are. There's the emojis. Lemon is a phenomenal creature. Oh, can you hear her? Lemon? Lemon. There's little screams as she wants some more treats. It's really surprising that a blind cat can get around as well because they use their whiskers. Blind dog to me sounds terrifying. Like that just sounds like a Labrador slamming into the wall at Mach 5 constantly. But she never runs into anything. She's very good at just sort of, you know, hanging around. She knows where everything is. She never messes with any of my synthesizers. So I get quite well along with this. Hans Volt, welcome to the stream. How's it going, my friend? Checking out just such a amazing synthesizer tonight, the Kawai K4. This is a Kyoto. I guess I should play like... what is it? Joji Rushi scales? orchestra. So we'll see how this one is. Is there a little hit in there? Yeah, there's a little timpani hit in there. Oh, it's funny. You can hear it like just disappear too. It just drops out of there like a 909 crash. It's quite a Brahmy type sound, but super low fidelity. Dave Van Horn, welcome to the stream. It is very hard to say with rarer vintage Yamahas what they are worth, the analogs. CS40M 2500 is certainly a fair price. I don't know if I would say it's like the best deal ever, but it's an incredible synthesizer. It is the same architecture as the CS70M behind me. I don't know if you guys can see that. But it's actually got more flexibility, and it's fully duophonic in the sense that you can really push a whole lot of stuff. What's that, Lemon? She's sniffing my glass of absinthe, which, by the way, guys, can I get a scum cheers in the chat? I haven't even drank any absinthe yet, and I think it's time that I do that. So may I have some scum cheers in the chat? Thank you guys for making every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. on YouTube here the best night of the week. You guys are phenomenal. So cheers to you guys. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun doing this. Prime User says that they tried to add presets to the K4 to make it seem as though this is as capable as an M1 or a D50. And I agree with that this does feel much more like a synth that could compete at least with the D50 in terms of sound quality and everything. So yes, cheers everybody. This one's called Lead Me. It's got a very plucky attack on there. Watching Machine, welcome to the stream. This is not my favorite lead sound just because of the harshness of that. And if I had the joystick, I could just kind of get that sample away, but no doubt there's certain circumstances where you want a lead that has that much attack on it. But for me, Greg, that's awesome. I am a big absinthe snob. Can I get some scum snobs in the chat? I don't know much about anything, but when it comes to absinthe, that's one thing that I know a bit about. In fact, if you read the Wikipedia article on absinthe, I wrote the section for historical ingredients and found the original documents, like basically photocopies of people's handwritten recipes from the 1800s that they posted to the internet, and used that to compile sort of an exhaustive what actually went into absinthe, because it was banned for 100 years. It was sort of like lost. And so that's my like little claim to fame on the internet. So this one's called, finally, we have reached the slap bass preset. This is so important to a synthesizer in the 80s and probably not important to anybody nowadays, but here's how this sounds. That was not what I was expecting. It almost sounds like an E-piano. If you play it up here, it's definitely an E-piano. It's like an incredibly warm, really great. Someone just bought a, who was it? Chris Lawrence. Thank you for buying, I think, Diodes and Rust. My vintage drum sample pack. Okay, so that's not a slap bass sound, but down here, I guess. I think the K1 has a better bass sound. You guys can go check out that stream to see what you think about that. Moving right along to the second bank. So that was everything in the A bank, and then we'll get into the multis, because right now we're still just checking out the single patches. George Harris, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Yeah, it sounds highly usable even today. I agree. And I mean, for $300, I think that there's really no real way to compare. Like, something like this is just insane, even by the modern synth market. I mean, what else is in this price range that isn't like a mono synth? I guess there's a couple of Behringer synths, like a Pro VS or a JT 4000 or whatever they call that synth. And they have some cool features, whatever. But to me, I've always been obsessed with the authenticity that you get from a real piece of hardware from the 70s, 80s, or 90s. And so 1989 is just right in at the end of the 80s, which was sort of the sweet spot for the vintage digital stuff. And to me, this is what excites me about synthesis. I mean, come on. Come on. $300. That is crazy, dude. That is so insane. I mean, like, I don't know. At this point, I'm almost like, I've spent so much money on synthesizers, and I do love some of the really expensive ones, but man, when you think that you can get that sound from this little black synth that feels great, aftertouch velocity, keybed feels amazing, to think that you can get that sound for $300 right now from Guitar Center, it's just insane that you can buy a vintage synth for that cheap. And you know, I get into these arguments with people about whether or not they should buy modern synths versus vintage synths. And I totally see the viewpoint of buying a modern synthesizer, especially if you're taking it on tour or something. But for me, wow, this just inspires me in a certain way. And I know that the modern stuff is inspiring too. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying for me, this is just like such a wow factor. Just so cool. So now we're moving on to the Electric Grand. Oh, this kind of sounds good. Especially when I play the right notes. I have no clue how to say your name. Zeni Detalpian reported as porn, as well it should have been. To me, the pianos don't quite stack up against the Proteus, which came out the same year. But this is a synthesizer first and foremost, and I think they threw those piano sounds in because it was important. This is called Warm String. I agree, Craig. There's really no synth that does the choirs from the K1, K4. One's called Memory. Can slap when you go all the way from this really like kind of calm E piano, and then you can really turn it into a resonant analog, well, not analog, but close to, you know what I mean. Like down here, it honestly feels like it could fill out that FM territory, especially the 4-operator Yamaha synths. I like that what you're saying there, Walter, about getting a modern gen workstation, a bottom board, by a vintage digital as the top board, and they all sound so different from each other. This one's called Lander. Actually sounds like a cymbal loop that's being used. Jobim? Perfectly acceptable acoustic guitar, but not anybody's favorite thing. I wish there were more like effects on there for that particular patch. This one's called Just a Dream. Please don't let me down. It didn't let me down. Sounds so freaking good. Scott says, speaking of synths with sampled waveforms, I was really impressed with the Korg Triton you recommended. Because of the extra sample operator cards, I have to find a loaded one. Yeah, I have to shout out Thoughtforms, another YouTuber who does really covers like that 90s ambient drum and bass jungle type stuff. And I know some of you vintage synth snobs out there might not be into that music, but it is worth checking out Thoughtform's channel. So much information, really diving into the romplers and samples CDs of the 90s. And some of the stuff that guy makes is so inspiring. And he does really simple tutorials that you can get your head around. So that's what really made me think about the Triton as much as I have. Todd, you can never go wrong with a Triton. I get with one for years and saw the carcass of it with a good motherboard. Mark says, reminds me of Enya. Yes, it's certainly emulating the D-50, which Enya used to essentially create the new age genre. But can it Sakuachi? That's a good question. I don't know. Black Man, welcome to the stream. So you can't modulate like you can in the wave station. No, you cannot. Not really. You could use the DDASRs to actually kind of delay each wave, so you could get like a 4-wave sequence. And the K1, I know, uses that actually to do a couple of patches that sort of sound wave sequency. But and the K4 might. I haven't checked out all the patches in it, so we'll see. But what it can't do is the wave station thing. Nothing can sound like a wave station. This synth came out a year before the wave station, and no synthesizer synth has sounded like a wave station, except for maybe like the Insonic TS10, 12. Those synths had something that was called Dubstation Zero will know, but something like hyperwaves, I think is what they called it, but it was their version of wave sequencing. So yeah, definitely super cool, but man, okay, I'm addicted to that sound. This one's called Effervesce. Whoa. Man, those are, and see, that's what's so cool about the synth. Oh, fuck. You're gonna make me come. So what's awesome about this is, and I'd have to go through all 256 waves on both the K1 and the K4 to actually be able to answer this question. But I believe you've got some of the same samples from the K1 in here. And in this one in particular, you can hear that those breathy choir samples are that dirty 8-bit sound. And I love it dirty. I mean, you can hear that just aliasing crunchy grit. Transwaves, there we are. Zap, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Alex, how do you like the design and the UI on the K4 screen? Well, it's got a beautiful backlit screen, which you usually don't get from synthesizers from the 80s. So that's really great. It's perfectly clear. It survived 34 years till the day. I think the biggest problem with this synth is the same problem with the M1 and the D-50, except the D-50, you can buy the PG-1000, a programmer for it. And the wave station and so many of the other synths that we love from this age, which is just, it's a big black box. Aside from this value slider and a mod wheel, we really have no real-time control over it. And, you know, programming this to me seems like it would be a nightmare. There is a controller programmer for the XD5 and the K4, which are essentially the same. The XD5 is the same synth engine, but just for drums. Dubstation Zero was saying that it wasn't working with his XD5 anyway, so I can't really confirm that it works. So I'll leave it at that. This one's called Glass E-Piano. Oh, listen to that delay. Nice, you know, cross delay. And it's an actual ping pong delay, which you don't have in the Roland D-50, which you just have as like separate taps. Now I'll need some synth snobs to tell me how this compares to an actual DX7, because I don't have one. Yeah, just really great. But again, I can't really confirm whether or not that is actually, you know, superior to a DX7. My sort of recollection of a DX7 is it really is like the best FM piano sound you'll ever hear. It's just that perfect combination of that. Craig, what do you think about the TX81Z versus the K4? If you had to pick one, what would you pick? I'd be interested to hear. Walter says his DX7 Mark II had more snap. Yeah, the Mark II is really the optimal one. And although I love the SY99 that I have sitting behind me, it is not exactly a DX7 Mark II, even though it's supposed to be. You can hear comparisons that not all the patches actually translate. So you can load DX7 and DX7 Mark II patches directly into an SY99, but it's not perfect, which is interesting. You wouldn't think there would be any difference in a digital synth, but there is. So what's up, Twin Cities? Welcome to the stream. Oh, here's where it gets bad. Here's where, like, but for some synthwave retro producers, this might be perfect. I hate it. Thanks. So now we have a flute. So again, this is going to be using those 8-bit samples as opposed to the 16-bit ones. So we're going to get all that wonderful glittery dirtiness. Wow. Why the hell didn't... I guess they're going for like an orchestral flute, but... That's a pretty terrible sound. It's the first sound that I really don't care for in any way, shape, or form. Mellow horn. Oh, this one's pretty good. You can hear the lower resolution down there, but... I would say that most of the times, comparing this with something like the Emu Proteus from the same year, I've been saying that the sample type stuff, like the, realistic instruments, aren't as good on this as they are on a Proteus, which makes sense. The Proteus was designed for the sole purpose of recreating sounds, and it does it very well. But the horns on the Proteus are terrible, and I actually quite like this patch. Prime user, I have an SY99, which is a advanced FM synth from 1991. Memory. This is another one of these patches. I'm starting to see a theme of... They're like E-piano patches when you play them quietly. And then if you play them hard, they're like virtual analog resonant patches. Right, it kind of does that thing. Oh, wait, I already covered memory, right? Let's go back. Oh, we got a patch called Triton. So you got to wonder what is the patch here going to sound like? I think it's got a fifth in there. Walter, you said you had a Triton, so what sound or preset do you think this is recreating? Oh, I totally agree, Dub, about the brass patch. I mean, when you've got a bunch of great vintage analog synths, or even if you guys are not into hardware synths, if you're just like a software person, there's probably like whatever software you has a pretty good analog synth patch in it. Master of Orion 2, what is that? Yeah, no, it's definitely soundtrack from the D-50-esque, but I'm wondering... Actually, now that I think about it, this might have come out before the Triton, so maybe it's not emulating that. It's definitely similar to soundtrack. When did that video game come out? Mine did it. So we covered that. Mellow horn. Oh, square lead. So some of these patches have like a little bit more attack on them. Little weird delay on there too. It's like a multi-tap delay. It's a little bit of a slap and a little bit of a... Yeah, nobody's favorite there. Moving right along here, we've got this one's called Don't Fret. I guess this is the, Seinfeld bass thing. So that exists. That's something that's in here. Moving into the... Wait, do I have more than one of these? I see one. No, I don't think so. I think we just got this. So this one's called Planet. Makes me think of the Planet patch from the JX3P, maybe. Interestingly, down here, we don't really have that rain sticky thing. But up here, we get into that Korg M1 Universe type sound. Yeah. Delicious absinthe. Zacy, welcome to the stream. Last year I went crazy for Yamaha event. It started with a TX81Z and then a TX802 and then an SY999 after catching a live stream. Sorry. And finished the year off acquiring the FS1R, learning how to use them. And when I say sorry, I don't mean sorry. I mean, the SY99 is an incredible synthesizer. What I mean is sorry for, I feel guilty whenever, a certain kind of guilt when people buy synths based off my recommendations. Like, I don't want to be causing gas in people. You know what I mean? But that's so awesome. Zacy says, I'm obsessed with this symphonic chorus. Going to get some old Yamaha SPX 900, I think is the one that started with that symphonic chorus sound. Yeah, it's really great. Just incredible, isn't it? I mean, just an insane synthesizer. This is a better piano sound. You can hear how after that initial sample, though, it starts to loop. Right around there. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be my go-to for those types of sounds. String ensemble. What's so great about this sound is not that, again, you would go in a modern context to like, oh, I'm going to use this sound to score my next, project, but more if you're going for that vintage digital thing, the low fidelity in there. Just really perfect for that. A patch called Warmth. What is this? Is this JX8P soundtrack? Oh, I had the mod wheel all the way up, so you can kind of control that. I can't believe a digital synthesizer sounds that warm, right? I didn't even realize you could use Aftertouch. Holy shit, my life just changed. $300 motherfucking dollars. Like, that has got to be the best $300 you can spend on a vintage synthesizer. Come at me, bro. I can anybody come up with something that's a better value than this? If you're looking for a real, authentic piece of 80s hardware that you can use in your productions to add some flavor that's going to sound completely different than everything else you have, but still sound amazing, and you're not going for that like cheap Casio like plastic bullshit type sound. You're going for like a real synth sound. Obviously it doesn't do everything well, but what it does well, that is one of the greatest patches I've heard ever. I don't care, analog, digital, what have you. I think it beats my Damn Fine Coffee patch from the Roland D-50. I mean, you guys can check that out on my patch demo for Neon Chronicles, my patch library for the D-50. But to me, that was awesome. This is called Metal EFX. Okay, that's spooky. Let's try it up an octave. Really cool patch. Zacy, we're the same age. I was born in 1989 as well. I'm very interested in the XD5 now, Dub, because of how great this sounds. 12 string. See, the problem with this is it just doesn't have the sample memory because it's got so many samples as opposed to a Proteus to be able to recreate this sort of sound well. Little bit of vibrato, kind of 50% on the mod wheel. Help break it up, because without that, it's just so static, right? Which might be cool, you know, you put a cool delay on this, right? Like a modern delay with a little bit of modern reverb, and you go, you know, except, well, you could actually get something that's useful. Here we go, air voice. Interesting aftertouch, and we can really hear the smoothness of the filter there. Link, welcome to the stream. No, this is not. This is my K4, and it is staying in my fucking studio until I fucking die. The one I'm referencing is on Musician's Friend. I think it's $300. There's Guitar Center ones. There's one on Guitar Center for like $200, but it's listed as fair. You could try it out. The thing about Guitar Center that's great is on Vintage Gear, you have a 3-day, just give it back to them if you're not happy 100%. Scott asks, I've never picked up on the meaning. What is a rompler? Well, so a rompler is this made-up word that us synth snobs, can I get some scum snobs in the chat, came up with to mean synthesizer, or so the keyboards that are like samplers, like the EMU emulators and the Ensoniq Mirages, and I don't know, what are some other samplers off the top of my head? I can't think of them. Roland put out a bunch. But instead of being able to sample sounds, they only have sounds pre-programmed into them. So a lot of samplers had sounds that either came with them or on floppy disks. I've got a Korg DSS-1 that's a sampler behind me, and that has a bunch of floppy disks, right? And you put the floppy disk in and pull the sound off of it. But you could also sample your own stuff, which is really what made them so powerful. But around the time of the Korg M1, and especially with the Emu Proteus that came out the same year as this, 1989, you started really seeing what are called romplers, or synthesizers, where the sound sources are not analog oscillators or virtual analog digital oscillators, but just PCM samples. And so it's using samples as the basis of the sound. And a lot of romplers have built-in digital filters or something like that, which is cool. So this is a rompler in effect, although it borders there because it doesn't have a lot of full samples like the Korg M1 does. This kind of uses a lot of single cycle waveforms, more like a Kawai K4, DW8000, some of those hybrid synthesizers could afford the sample memory of like single cycles. So I hope that cleared things up. I don't know if anybody could add anything in there to help with the discussion. But anyways, while we're talking about that, we can really hear the digital resonance on this. And it's definitely a little ice picky. Link asks, what's your opinion on the Virus keyboard in comparison? So, I mean, a Virus is a very different type of synth. It came out almost 10 years after this. I want to say it came out in 1987. And they're just really great virtual analog synthesizers, if that's your thing. This really wouldn't... It borders on virtual analog, but truly is not quite there yet, because you can't do something like... pulse width modulation on a square wave or something like that. So it's just different types of synths. My general rule is from 1983 to about 1995 is what I call the vintage digital category. And those synthesizers have a very kind of a lower fidelity type of sound that's great for glassy pads, things like that. And there's just something about them sort of ending with the Roland JD800 or so around 1991, SY99, Wavestation EX. That's around the time that that era of synth kind of stopped being manufactured. 95, Nord comes out with the Nord lead. So Clavia comes out with the Nord lead, and that sort of ushers in the virtual analog era. And those synthesizers have a different type of sound. JP8000 we've covered on the stream before. Korg MS2000 we've covered on the stream before. I've never done a Virus or a Nord, although look forward on this channel on Monday. I have a video coming out for a software recreation of the Nord lead. But that's sort of my distinction there between there. Walter asks, any issues with the K4s? Not that I'm aware of, which is kind of terrifying. This patch is called Flat Earth. I'm going to add a little vibrato in, hopefully. Not too much, but just like a little to break it up. Acoustic guitar samples are really shining, where we're not just trying to recreate the sound of an acoustic guitar, right? But instead use it as one of the layers in here. Fascinating sort of sound. It's not as good as some of the other really awesome ones, but they are good. Wow, that is bright. That doesn't mean bad, though. You can hear the nature of how these, the oscillators are a little phase locked, because you always get that same sort of bow, bow type sound, which you wouldn't get with free running oscillators, or even if there's a little bit of phase variance that you can get in there. God, I love Absinthe. Tracy, welcome to the stream. Consider yourself lucky, anybody who has one of these, because, man. Although, on the other hand, I guess if you don't have one, now's a great time to get them because they are so cheap. Minneapolis. Of attack on there. Perfect Pitch, welcome to the stream. Greetings. With my synth buddy back in the 90s, we purchased a K4 and a K5 for $2,000 at our local shop. I remember when we thought the K4 was kind of cheap feeling and sounding even back then. That is crazy to me because, I mean, yeah, I hear where you're coming from. But to me, this synth sounds like solid gold. I mean, yes, it does sound sort of cheap in a way, but there's a warmth to this that's missing from those cheap Yamaha and Casio phase distortion synths. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound quite as hi-fi as an M1 or a D-50, but... I swear to God, this thing is money. I mean, it's so funny to be talking about how this synth was perceived as cheap back then. And I get it because, you know, when you shoot this out directly, you know, something like an M1 or a D50, I'm sure the high end, you know, kind of gives away the fact that they're cutting some corners with those wave EPROMs. But I just think it sounds so great. Ed, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Bad Lucks, welcome to the stream. Todd says, I don't recall any Rumplers that came out with resonance. Not long after this, I remember the SY77 landing, but that did have resonant filters. So depending on if you count the D50 as a Rumpler, it certainly did. The M1 did. M1 might not have had resonant filters now that I think about it. WaveStation added resonant filters with the EX version. But yeah. Maybe one of the best sounds in the synth, and there's been so many so far. Now for a good letdown, a saxophone patch. Yeah, not really that great. Bright brass. That's almost never what I want when it comes to brass, is it? I mean, to me, that's like general MIDI. This one's called Hammer On. This is where the digital resonance does not do it any favors. Well, actually, up here it sounds very nice. Interesting little intermodular distortion you can hear in there. You guys hear that? So what you're listening for is like this little low frequency that's creeping in because of the terrible resolution. But it was really on that one note I could hear it. Yeah. Very interesting sound there. Moving right along to pick bass. Not a really, it's pretty good as far as like a muted Stratocaster. Yeah, so that is what it is. I mean, I'm not that really saying that that's what I'm here for. Can I get a cheers for everybody who's hanging out tonight? Welcome, guys. I see we got some new people here. I really appreciate everybody hanging out. This is an incredible synthesizer, and we do a synth stream every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube, so you guys are all welcome to the Scum family. So can I get some Scum cheers in the chat, you guys? Thank you so much. Let's drink some alcohol. Or non-alcohol, if that's what you're into. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm going to drink alcohol. This absinthe. Oh yeah. Scott says he played trumpet his whole life, and I truly hate brass patches that don't start with the splat sound. Perfect Pick Chat. So, are you any chance a fan of Dick Wolf's TV shows? I don't know who Dick Wolf is. I'm so sorry. Cheers, everybody. This has been a lot of fun. This patch is called Galactical. Vibrato with that mod wheel. Wow, just powerful. That the aftertouch controls that filter, and it sounds really great. Let me see here. Let's see. I think I saw something about saying where are these patches from? Don't know some of these patches. They're just the patches that were on this synth. So unless someone loaded some different patches in here, I think it's just what the K4 comes with. But yeah, Zap, it definitely is. HB says, cheers, 4 a.m. over in Germany. Thank you for staying up so late. How's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Chilling on my couch, enjoying your amazing sounds. Thanks. I appreciate you, HB. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Link asks, are you going to feature the Roland V synth? I'd love to. I pay for all these synths out of my pocket, and YouTube is not a great way to make money at all. So it really, sometimes people want me to cover a lot of stuff, and or they'll be like, why don't you have this synth? I'm like, because I can't afford another synth right now. That's just part of it. But I love exploring all these synthesizers, and I don't mean to sound like, feel bad for me at all. I'm like the luckiest guy in the world to have all of these synths. So, this one's called String Grand. Oh, Aftertouch controls the amplitude of the strings. Really cool one. Cello. Yeah, again, it's not really my thing. Resonant synthesizer. So here we go. It's like my butthole clenches up every time I see something like resonance when it comes to a digital synth, because I'm just like, but so far the synth has not disappointed. Of course. It immediately goes all ice pick on me. Oh God, that is so, I'm going to turn the volume down just because. Kind of cool. It's got that inverted envelope thing going on. I feel like this was very much to sell the fact that this synthesizer had digital filters. I mean, for me, it's a cool sound. Would I use it? It's pretty much too much in that virtual analog territory for me. Perfect Pitch asks, is it true that it has only 8-note polyphony? You say only like it's a bad thing, but it might be 8-note polyphonic. I thought it was 16, but I could be wrong there. It might drop to 8 probably when you use the multis, which, by the way, these are all single patches. We haven't even gotten the multis yet. I need to move faster, I think. Let's see. Link says, wish we knew which synths Prince used on his early work. Yeah, I mean, that's not my specialty. SJ, have a great night. You can absolutely watch this stream later. It'll be up on YouTube for sure. This one's called Jungle Life. Keep surprising me. Dig-a-log. Oh, man. What I was going to say about that last patch, the resonant synth patch. it has a certain brightness that isn't possible on a D50. So after really getting to know the Roland D-50, there's just a lack of potential brightness on that synth, which sounds great. But actually that patch reminded me a lot of the JD800. So I think the first patch on the JD800 is called Millennium, and it really is bright, like that resonant synth patch where it's just huge. And I think Eric Persing was just like, we got to show off that the JD800 is a full 16-bit synthesizer, which, by the way, did not happen until the JD800 with Roland, which was 91. This was 89. So it's kind of ahead of the curve in a bit. But yeah, it's just interesting how great this synth sounds. This one's called Afro Rimba. It's cool, but I want to make sure I keep going here. Just because we have so many patches and we haven't even got into the multis yet, so we're not even halfway there. It's an okay virtual analog brass patch. You can hear the complex envelopes though. Yeah, it's okay. Dulcimer. Ooh, this one's really cool. And again, it's that awesome velocity responsiveness where I can go real soft and just get, wow, what a beautiful tone. And if I hit it hard, Rick, I used to have a K5000. I've featured it on the stream before. I ended up selling it. It's not my, it's an incredible synthesizer, but it's just so incredibly complicated as to be where I felt like it was terrible that I wasn't programming it, because that is what I love to do, is program synths. I have a whole patch library for the D50. This one's called Oboe. It's fine. Synth brass. Again, I'm probably not going to like this one just because I don't think this is where the synth excels. It just doesn't have the capacity to do the chorusing you get from analog oscillators beating against each other. You just get this really clinical sound. That's where I think the synth is the worst. Mini bass. Welcome back, Lemon. I'm glad you're here. Hey, Lemon, you want to say hi to the stream? Hi. Kind of the same thing where it's got a lot of low end there. Machine Storm says, Discovery Pro, looking forward to picking that up eventually with the upgrade for 75. A little steep. Anyone who bought it recently, upgrades free. Yeah, I've got a video coming out on Monday checking out what's new in 8.1. So that'll be cool. Let's see what else we have. We got contrabass. Yeah. So now we can go over to, that's all of the simple stuff. Now we can go over to A1 and listen to dual piano. So now we're in the multis. Actually, I guess we are getting close. We probably have I think 2 banks of multis left, and I think there's some user banks in there. Nexiara, are those just sound fonts? No, there's a lot more going on in here than just sound fonts. Lots of stuff going on with Aftertouch and everything. Some of the sounds do have a bit of a general MIDI sort of tone to them, though. Hopefully you guys are listening in stereo. I mean, does that sound like a sound font to you? So there you could hear it drop down. We could experiment to see how many voices it has actually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we lost it. Yeah, so I think it's down. It might be an 8-voice synthesizer that drops to 4 in multi-mode. Yeah, you can hear some voice stealing. Yeah, Kawai K4 module for $270 on Reverb. Yeah, it's pretty crazy what can be done. 4:24 a.m. over there. Well, thank you for staying up so late to check this out. This one's called Weightless. Wow. You're really getting how you can split, whole synth patches stereo. In there at the low end. Yes, that is my cat Lemon. She is beautiful and blind, unfortunately, but she is phenomenal to hang out with, and she is just such a sweet creature. Dub says, even in single mode, the synth has different architectures for different patches. It actually has 2 filters that can be running serial or parallel for stereo twin FX. So sometimes single mode can be 8 voices, sometimes 16. Ah, that makes sense. I love Lemon too. Can I get some scum lemons in the chat? For sure. So moving right along, we've got O Brass. So once again, a patch I'm probably not going to like. It's okay. Yeah, it's still pretty bad. I'll play it a little bit more, but then we'll move on. Yeah, it's not my thing. Bell Pad. This should be good, hopefully. This will be a nice palette cleanser. So what's so great about it is that it borders on almost getting harsh, but this synth is capable of such a wonderful warmth and low end that it's got this just great scooped. And then you guys can hear that, right? That there's this extra higher octave choir coming in the background when you release the keys. So when I press them down on a complex chord, I will then get this like lower octave choir, more warm sound. And then when I release the keys, listen for that higher octave sort of female choir. It's just incredibly cool. And yeah, it's really like Fantasia, except on steroids. I can't tell if that's the filter or just amplitude, but the aftertouch is great on this too. I think the synthesizer sells itself. It is the craziest money you can spend on a vintage synthesizer. Clean comp. I get it. They had to put patches like this into synths back then, but this thing does not excel really at just recreating any sound. I thought the electric pianos were good, but when it comes to stuff like that. Speaking of the Weather Channel, I've got a patch called Climate. Oh, man. Fuck me up, Kawai. Lots of L's and V's. Yes, this is all stock patches that just came with the K4 in 1989. Jack, welcome to the stream. I need to see if the K1 can send joystick CCs. I think it does. So you can do vector synthesis on the third wave. Wow, that's crazy to think about. You know, trying to do vector synthesis on a third wave with a piece of 1988 technology, I want to say that one came out with. Where did you buy this synth? I think off eBay. Nope, actually Sam Ash, I want to say. First time I got a synth from Sam Ash. But these things always hang around the $400 mark, and right now there's a bunch that are going for less than that. I think $370 on Reverb, and there's one on Musician's Friend right now for $300. So go scoop that up. If you can get it on Guitar Center, they have a 3-day. You know, so just send it directly to whatever Guitar Center's closest to you. Drive there. Don't ship it to your house because they tend to get broken when you ship them to your house. I've had 2 synths die that way. Didn't have to pay for them, though, because Guitar Center has a 3-day grace period. So if you're not happy with anything, keys got fucked up or something in transit. Such a beautiful sound. And this is proving that you can do more notes because... That's 8 notes. If I use my nose. I think I lost that low one. Nope. I can confirm it is a 16-voice synth by playing 9 notes at once. So this one's called Voyager, which I don't think Voyager was a TV show yet at this point. 1989. No, I think it was the 90s. Come on. Perfect Pitch says, I swear your improv game sounds like the soundtrack in a Dick Wolf show. I hope they watch this stream and hire you for some upcoming shows. Well, hey, Dick Wolf, I'm available. I ain't got nothing on the schedule if you want to pay me some money. Oh, Dub Station is like so much fucking smarter than me. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. There was the real Voyager was already out there in 89. Of course, that's what it's named after. This one's called Asia. Always love a patch that references Asia. So fucking racist. Oh, shucks. Drumming 1. Really interesting sort of choir. Fascinating. Wet and steamy. I didn't make this patch up. Sari Machenko, welcome to the stream. The XT5 is related. It's basically the same synth under the hood. It has a higher sample rate, less for if any some parameters emitted, but has much better timing, tighter EGs, no effects, but it has in and outs. Yeah. So it's different. It's a different thing. You know, this is definitely more the synthesizer. That's definitely better for drums. This one's called Arena. The return of the short timpani sample layered in there. You can hear it just like it just stops. I can't believe that left the factory like that. It's so bad. You don't really notice it down there, but up here it just disappears. Hilarious. String orchestra. DJ Crystal Love, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Moving right along to 16 called Think About It. Interesting. For me for a second there. Interesting. Okay, moving on to multis in the B category. We've got pick and bow. It's very mono sound. That sounds very good though. Oh, wow. All the way down here. I wonder if the K4 has something like bias in the D-50 because you don't hear any strings down at the lowest note. Mighty Pinto, how's it going, my friend? How are you? Patch actually. Welcome to the stream, everybody who's new here. Awesome. Love a good vegging out. I've heard many people actually tell me in sort of guilty tones that they put my stream on before they go to sleep, and they just kind of listen to me and play some notes, you know, whatever, and they say it like they're ashamed of it, and I think that's amazing. If you get some value out of these streams, I think that's phenomenal regardless of it. Not saying that you do that, Mighty, but definitely know that some people are just, I have heard people tell me they're lurking and jerking. That's another thing, you know, it's the gays like to do. Keys and bows. Kind of similar sort of vibe, right? Pop and plunk. Ooh. patch so far that's like a piano that I really like. There's something about the... Yeah, I guess there is a bass guitar in there, right? All the way down there. Interesting. Pick in time. So I guess these are all like the combinations of a couple of different sounds. So should have an E piano in here. Man, if that's not an 80s sound. You know what's funny next is I don't really think my voice is very relaxing. I always think my voice sounds a little growly, you know? Oh, that is too funny, Mighty Pinto. Love Bob Ross. This is a great patch. It's definitely my favorite of that one. This is called Ipanema, so maybe it'll be a little jazzy, you know, Gothanova patch. That's a better... I guess we got the bass down here. Interesting that the multis kind of have the better acoustic instrument emulations. Upright Heart. Kind of like an interesting thing. Bull fiddle. What the fuck is a bull fiddle? So right around here, there's like a split. So down here, we've got... Oh, I guess it really is just a split. I don't know what I'm playing. Split guitar. It kind of sounds just like a stereo Stratocaster. Overall, so far, I haven't liked the B bank of the multis as much just because they don't do as many cool things. This is Bucus. Buckus. I don't know. Pinto, your voice sounds great clipped. Perfect pitch. There is an editor for this synth. I want to explore it. This is my first night checking out this synth. I love checking out a synth live on stream. All I do is make sure that all the keys work and everything. So you guys can see my honest reaction to synths. I think it's better that way than if I like sit back and try to master a synth before I show it off. It's more useful too, because I don't think that you guys necessarily want a synth that like you have to spend years getting good at. I did spend a lot of time, like 6 months, getting good at the D-50, so there's some value in that sometimes, but overall, when it comes to these live streams, I tend to try to just give you guys like my first impressions about a synth, and so that's what I'm going for here. But yes, it's a typical patch browser, and this synth is complicated enough that I don't necessarily feel inclined to program it unless there is a software programmer option, because going through and stepping through with one value slider here, that sounds like no fun whatsoever. Todd says bull fiddle is southern slang for an upright bass. Okay, good to know that. Craig says K4 is all over Delirium and FLA's late 90s work if you want to play Hunt the Presets. That's awesome. Frontline assembly is great. I just realized I was watching Blush Response's video on the Mind Phaser module, and he was like, yeah, I play in Frontline assembly. And I was like, Holy shit. They're coming to Florida in March, so I'm going to go see them. So that's really exciting. Siri says he used to have the K1. The K4 seems like the natural step up, but in my opinion, it loses the 8-bit lo-fi dirty quality, being noticeably cleaner sounding. It looks like the filter in the K5000 is pretty similar to the K4. I wouldn't be surprised if the K5000 has a better filter, although it is capable of some serious ice pick resonance. What's really great about the K4 is it does have some higher quality samples than the K1, and I'm happy I have a K1 over there. But it also has some of the low quality samples of the K1. So a lot of the choirs and the flutes, anything that has a natural noise to it, they actually use the 8-bit samples, not 16-bit, to save on space. And I think it's great because it does give it that sound. A little bit of that character Octavox. We'll probably hear it on this patch. See, that one sounds a little brighter. Yeah, really cool. Alien Planet. There's a note built into that, like a minor note built into it, which is kind of cool. Hey, Aquatic Borealis, how's it going? Welcome to the stream, my friend. Unfortunately, we are kind of getting close to the end of this one. This one's called Velocity Guitar. Yeah, I think the multis are where the acoustic instruments start to shine, where they have enough complexity to the sound. The single acoustic instrument patches were not so good. This is pretty great. Yeah, sounds really nice. Reverb doesn't sound too fake. Caravan. Wow, if you want like a lot of attack on a sound. Michael, welcome to the stream. That velocity there is really cool. Veloci Octave. Yeah, so if I play quiet here, octave high is high, super cool. And velocity split. Whoa. I don't know what I was going to play there. And then finally we move into the user category here. This is interesting. It's just like just kind of like some basic split stuff. Can I get some scum organs in the chat? Yeah, so that sound right. Yeah. Sequence 1, sequence 2. Yes, this is my cat Lemon, my blind beauty. Yeah, so there's just some sort of like basic stuff in here. Just at the end here. Yeah, I love this particular camera angle just because you get to see Lemon. She's hangs out in some of the streams, but she'll be like kind of lurking in the corner. So anyways, let's wrap the stream up by checking out the drums. So if I just hit the drum button, it puts us into drum mode. So the synth has drums as well, which a lot of synths didn't have at the time. I want to say the M1 does. The D-50 certainly doesn't. Not really. Wave Station does. SY77, you'd have to answer that question, Nick. I don't know off the top of my head. That's a kick drum. Ooh, that's a dirty tom sample. That's some evidence of the Kawai K4 lurking in there. Cowbell. Oh, that's a pretty good little gated snare sample. Little check 1 2 3. There's this terrible reverb on here. Let's see. If I go to effect, let's see, submix edit A. Let's see if I can bring that down. Whoa, we've like, now we've lost the, I guess we're just stuck with the sound. I'd love to hear how that sounds like tuned down an octave. Oral Escape, welcome to the stream. Yes, there are drums on that synth. Widow, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Ooh, that's a nasty kick drum. Or whatever it is, I don't even know. That sounds very much like the Diodes and Rust Kawai R50 type of a sound. Wow, what a sound. Craig, I probably won't program any drum sounds on this. There's maybe a couple that might be useful, but the Kawai R53 that I have is what I actually did my drum sample library on, which I'm sure you guys have seen in the chat. Also, there's a link in the description of this video. And that is just such an incredible industrial drum machine. And all of those sounds are just so big and badass. $10 for the sample library. I think there's a discount code if you go to the website. But to get it for even cheaper, like, $10% off or something. But the thing about that is it's just got so much impact. None of these sounds immediately grab me as being amazing, but they're there and it's a thing. So I thought I should include it in the video. Let's see. I'm glad you're here too, Widow. I think that's a good place to stop. I know it's sort of a anticlimactic stop just because we're, those drums were not anything to write home about, but I wanted to make sure that I just covered, some of the basics of what's going on with the synthesizer in this stream, because some people will, want to make a purchase off of what the presets sound like. Now, if you guys think I'm crazy enough to actually program this synth, maybe we could do that, especially if there is a good programmer. I haven't tested any programmers yet, any editors yet for the K4, but I would very much love to check it out. I think it's an incredible synth. Frankly, I'm scared it might mean the demise of my Kawai K1, which I love very much, but I feel like the K4 gives me everything the K1 does and a little more. There's almost nothing from the K1 that isn't reproduced in some way on the K4, and it just sounds great. It's obviously got that K1 legacy. Yeah, it doesn't have the joystick. I wasn't really using the joystick a whole lot, but there was that one time on that one sound where I was like, if I could just dial that sound, that attack back on a couple of the leads, That might have been a good thing. So let's see. Craig says, I'm pretty sure the R50 and the K4 drums share drum samples. I wouldn't be surprised. A couple of them sounded familiar, but the R53 has all three EPROMs from the R series, the R100, the R50E, and the R50. So it's I sampled up to a drum library. There's over 300 loops and samples in there. So yeah. Walter says, I can only get one. Is it the K1 or the K4? What do I get? Semi-hypothetical question. My vote today would be the K4. The addition of the effects is really great. There are a couple of patches in the K1 that are iconic as well. I really love some of what was there. I think there was a patch called Return Home that was gorgeous. But of the two, the K4 feels like a little bit closer to giving you the quality of the D-50, but it's like lo-fi. It's got this wonderful character. It just like sounds like you're listening to it through like a PlayStation 1 or something. I just think it's so incredible, whereas the D-50 is a little more hi-fi. So if you had to pick one, for me, it would probably be, as of the recording of this, right? I've just got done playing it. It's very exciting. I remember being hyped up when I played the K1 as well. The answer is you can't go wrong with either, but you're going to have to use something like some additional processing to make a K1 work. Whereas the K4 actually sounds really good just out of the box. I don't know how they got such a good reverb in there. Yeah, so anyways, guys, I think that's a good place to call it for the evening. Thank you to everybody new who showed up tonight. I saw we had a lot of people here. That's exciting and awesome. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, because we do a live stream here every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, which I think is 6 p.m. Western. I don't know. Someone out in California, let me know. But we do it every Wednesday, and it's made this YouTube channel so awesome. It's made my Wednesday nights the best night of the week. I look forward to hanging out with you guys. And so, yeah, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. Perfect. I love that Guitar Center was annoyed with you, Widow. That's phenomenal. Thank you very much, Sari. Catch you next week for sure, Aquatic. Miss you very much, my man. I hope you guys are having a great time. Mark, thanks for, as always, for hanging out. Nick, thank you for always hanging out. There's so many people who support this channel. Todd, thank you for hanging out. You guys are amazing. Nightshade, I can't wait to see you next week. Some cool stuff. Hopefully we'll have a video up on Discovery Pro on Monday if everything goes well. Fingers crossed I get everything done and edited by that time. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. Continue to be excellent, and I'll see you next week.